That's okay. Welcome to the Golden Pathway Zoom seminars, where we help people transition from the 7 major world religions into the teachings of the Ascended Masters. I'm Patricia Parham, your hostess for the evening, and we have been giving these seminars for 5 or 6 years on everything from relationships to finances to healing your psychology. And our theme this year is climbing the mystical path. We are all climbing the mystical path, and we are glad to be on that path with you. So our session today is entitled Astrology. What will 2024 look like? And this is a Zoom seminar with Ms. Christine Barrere. So do you want 2024 to be a year filled with opportunity?
Patricia, you did freeze. I'm going to go ahead and make the call, okay?
One of the most talked about aspects is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So let's learn how these aspects may affect us individually and the world at large. As always, Christine inspires hope, a new vision, and a fresh perspective on transforming our lives using the positive side of the year's zodiacal aspects. For this presentation, we're going to use the nation's conception and birth charts as given to us by beloved El Morya in the book, The Astrology of the Four Horsemen by Elizabeth Clare Prophet. So this session will include positive prayers for meeting this year's challenges in your own astrology and the world as a whole. We all know and love Christine Barrere. She discovered astrology as a teen and learned that each person has their own unique destiny. She's worked to discover personal gifts, ways to overcome problems, and sources of empowerment for clients since 1986. She joined the teachings of the Ascended Masters even earlier than that, 1979, and she's currently living in Livingston, Montana. She's a mother of 4 boys, and she shares weekly newsletters, Star Drops, which can be accessed at her website, www.starfires.com, and you can reach her at Sirius@starfires.com. Welcome, Christine. It's such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. That was a nice introduction.
Thanks.
I will start with a quick call, and then we will jump into all these interesting issues here. Beloved mighty I am presence, in the name I am that I am, we call to beloved El Morya, Mother Elanillo, beloved Saint Germain, Mother Mary, beloved Lady Master Venus, beloved Sana Kumara, beloved Leto, and the Master of Paris, and all of our sponsoring masters. We ask you to come forth now with K17 in your cosmic secret service, and beloved Sarian Cusco, to bless us and overshadow us with your mighty electronic presence and reveal to us all of these astrological planetary configurations, precisely, perfectly delineated according to God's will as much as possible. We ask for all of the understanding and the insights and depth of the potential problems and also the antidotes and the solutions to come forth quickly with the speed of light. We call you Archangel Michael and the 7 archangels to surround us now with your mighty walls of blue fire to absolutely establish that shield and sealing action, impenetrable, to repel, reverse any interference from the astral plane and the psychic realm. And we thank you and accept it done this hour in full power in the name I am that I am. Amen. So these are the planetary energies which have been on my radar for a few months now. There have been several on my mind. I'm going to first, I know people want to know what is going on with the election chart, and I'm going to pull up very quickly 2 charts. The first one, which is going to be derived at 8 a.m. East Coast time, and it is right here. So this chart is showing, this is for November 5, 2024. I'm pretty sure I got that date right. It was a Tuesday. This chart is showing very quickly. I'm not going to go into this very deeply, but it just shows the thing I found the most interesting is the planet Saturn that is showing up right here. Can't see my mouse very well, but this is Saturn in a trine to the sun. So the sun is going to be a very important, shining, vital leader of all the planets on an election chart. And it is in a trine, which is a good aspect to Saturn. And my feeling when I saw that is Saturn in trines always create a stability and an acceptance of a condition or a situation that's pretty much like all agreed upon. Like there's no dispute, there's no argument or rough road or hard cycle around a Saturn in a trine. So this was a really good sign that this election will be different from the last election cycle. Plus, the last election cycle, I was so stressed and nervous about it. It wasn't just because of the elections, but universally, people were having a very difficult 2 to 3 months between the September through the November, with the planet Mars and Neptune making really volatile, negative aspects, which creates an eruption of confusion, deception, mistrust, and very disoriented, nebulous, problematic issues everywhere. And it was peaking really, really close, I believe, to the actual election day. So this year we don't have anything like that at all. So there does seem to be a much more grounded acceptance, stability, and official final functionality of that day specifically. And then also the Venus and the moon are over here on the left in house number 1, and that is creating a good fortune and good energy. Venus can have to do with like the group United States citizens values, and the moon has to do with the emotional, intuitive nature of the people. They're combined. So basically, there seems to be a consensus of morality in Sagittarius and ethics and integrity that the values of the people want to be implemented and move forward on. Because that moon and that Venus are in a conjunction, but also in a trine to Chiron, it is supposed to be like the promise of healing wounds and past traumas. But because it's also in an opposition to Jupiter over on the right, Jupiter oppositions aren't terrible, but they do create an overinvestment of optimism and promise and convictions that something this or that is going to come true and be fulfilled. But we have to really watch Jupiter oppositions because it's like overextending. We're expecting that person to extend themselves in a particular way that they may not be able to do every single piece of their promise or their campaign or whatever. So we've got a potential problem here of being not delusional, but expecting too much under the circumstances that whoever wins this person's walking into. So that was the start of the election. And then there was I wanted to bring in the second one. And hold on one second. This is going to be the ending. And it's the same chart, except there's a moon that moves into Capricorn. So the moon that was on Venus has moved into Capricorn. And that sort of like seals the entire day with a decision that is final. So Capricorn deals with mandates, official word, statements, and structures and systems and things that have to do with the final say. And so it does feel like there's a completeness and a closure that's going on with this aspect. The moon also makes a sextile to the black moon in Scorpio, which has a really strong flame of investigative detective work, uncovering and sleuthing out potential problems, prior to and up to the election day, and then finally all coming out in the most positive way possible. There is a Mars opposing Pluto that day. I don't think that is indicative of what's going on specifically on that day. I think that it has to do mainly with the whole volatileness and intensity of the entire election year culminating on that day. And so Mars and Pluto hostile to each other in an opposition can create danger. It can create threats, numerous incidences of sabotage that were probably the public not even aware of going on. But because the Pluto and the Mars are both in a square to the black moon in Scorpio, that funnels the potential problematic eruptions and upsets all year down into the black moon, which is the black moon's handling it, which has to do with investigation and strategic overriding and stopping and exposing all of these potential disruptions that could come about. So I'm glad that it's actually in a T-square to the black moon. If it wasn't, I think that we would have more of a serious problem. So anyway, I just wanted to go into the election charts, and I did take a look at only Trump's because I don't want to get into all of the candidates' charts right now. I think I might write some articles up on that later, but that I thought that you guys might want to know about that. That the one that I really want to discuss is this one. And this one is the planet Pluto in the solar system making an opposition to the Uranus. So there's a little quick story behind this. Back in October, I was listening to some interviews, and you all may have been aware that there was some talk about an analysis of out on the internet of a group consensus or group like theme that was coming through the internet through an algorithm, that there was a big event coming that was matched to in superseding 9/11, and it was supposed to be coming between December and April of 2024. And I heard it from so many sources. I said, I'm gonna debunk this because that I don't like dire predictions like that. I think that's terrible. However, this one person has a good track record because it's an algorithm that is not a psychic prediction. So I thought I better check this out. So I looked really hard on the transits and I scoured it, and I thought to myself, okay, 9/11, I know exactly what planetary configuration was going on at that time. It's probably to a lot of astrologers something really insignificant and minor. I didn't see any solar eclipses, no lunar eclipses, no other planetary aspects, even in the sky. And the only thing that showed up, and I remember at the time finding it, was a transiting Mars at 1 degree Capricorn in the United States natal 1789 chart. And it was in conjunct the Uranus at 1 degree Leo in the 11th house. Because I've seen catastrophes, accidents, and major issues, crises happen under that one little 2 to 3 day window transit. And when it happened, it was the only one that really stuck out to me on 9/11. That was the one I was targeting. I wanted to see if there was a planetary configuration that was hitting this Uranus right here in the 11th house at 1 degree. So I found it, and it was coming faster than I wanted, and it was a big one. And like this one has never been ever experienced in the United States, America, astrology ever. And it's the Pluto in Aquarius. I'm just going to read all my notes because I don't want to miss anything. I put a lot of thought into this. Pluto in Aquarius moving towards an opposition to the US 1789 Uranus. And this cycle has never occurred before, so we don't have any experience of it. It's February 15th through the 28th, 2024, peaking exact February 20 to 24. But I know how these things go. They're not always right on the money, even though the Mars was, because that's a faster moving trigger. But the Pluto will usually spread out for weeks, if not months. But then this is the consolidated moment of it. And the potential risks are volatile period for public safety and well-being. So we have to be really, really vigilant with calls and affirmations for our country and our population to be protected, towns, cities, things like that. This cycle continues all the way to December 29, 2024. And the peaks would be the February, the July 3rd through 20th, peaking exactly July 4, and then December 15th through the 31st, peaking exactly Christmas to the 29th, 2024. And then once we get into 2025, it's gone. But it can really rough us up. So when people have this in a personal chart, transit for their forecast, it would be once in a lifetime they would ever get it. And most of us that are born in the 50s, late 40s to the 50s into early 60s are going to get it or have gotten it. And it can be handled by absolutely detaching from being too invested in what there's an oppositional person or group or force that is attempting to, it appears, to alienate, shove out, reject, and push away you. So if our country is getting that, what could this possibly be? So in general, anyone receiving a Pluto opposed Uranus could be facing unpopularity cycle, specifically with a particular group of friends or a person or a community of people which were once allied with that person. In other words, that was all normal, everything was great, and now all of a sudden we have a problem with this situation. If a country is receiving this once in 250 some year cycle, would it be within the country? In other words, the people within the country polarizing? Would it be a certain faction, a certain group against another group? I know people talking about civil war, but my intuition is saying I don't think it's that. An alienation and severe split away from one group. Who is this group that is being alienated and severely challenged, pushed out, and no longer trusted? Or could it be on several sides? Or could it be would it be the US administration and other power groups making a more blatant move against the people, and then the people pushing them out, or that power group pushing the people out and creating a greater division and split and obvious black and white demarcation between the type of values that each group has? So it is definitely an obvious separation, rejection, alienation move observed, which can lead to strong reactions and desperate measures on one or both sides to survive, because it's an emotional trigger that can happen under Pluto opposed Uranus. And that's what the test is so difficult with it when you're having it in your personal life, if it comes around in your chart, because it's like you got to get a grip because it's all consuming. You can't believe that this is happening with people that you thought were your friends or for your loved one, or it's really challenging. A lot of people are doing really well under this astrology cycle. I have been noticing over the past decade that we're riding higher above the waves of these transits. We're not getting sucked into them so dramatically. And I think it's amazing that we're evolving to the place where, oh yeah, this is happening, but I'm just going to write it out. Before, it was very traumatic. It is definitely creating possibly a trigger of extreme physical events such as technological energy grid breakdowns, because Uranus also rules technology and the internet, space, and all different kinds of things like cyber attacks, and then possibly maybe claiming it was another country when it wasn't another country. That we'll go into that later. It's hard to say. It's a theme, a mindset of breaking ties and moving towards separation from something or someone in an extreme cutting off manner of a group, because a community of the population has broken ties because of responding in an extreme way to something which has physically just occurred. So the first time I saw it, I thought, oh boy, we need to, get prepared again for any potential disruption that should happen, and hold on, and then make the calls for the reversing and transmutation of any potential events. So it would start in February and then last an entire year. Even though I gave you peaks, it's just straight on the whole year. And so then, and by the way, Rosalinda and Linda they're going to post a call sheet that will include this astrological configuration. So there are some good things in here. I just want to get this hard stuff off my chest. There's something called Hades conjoined the US sun. It's a Uranian planet. You can look online about Uranian planets. They're not even real planets, so we think, but I remember a long time ago, a friend of mine and I were discussing them, and we believe at one point they were planets, and there's like 9 or 10 of them. Hades is the only one I really look out for because it is a real problem. I noticed that Hades is also very, very slow moving. So this has also never happened before, but it's sitting on top of the United States sun, the conceptional sun for the 1776 sun sign in Cancer. So it's hovering on top of it in a conjunction. It's been ongoing since August 2023 in an escalation of aggressive high energy events and troubles for the US in relations to the world and those in control with their relations to people. So because of, according to Moria's birth time he gave the US conceptional chart, our sun in Cancer of America is over in the 7th house of our goodwill and nurturing, loving, caring, abundance, mother flame to other people in other countries. That's the 7th house of building relationships and goodwill. It also rules our allies, it rules other countries, our relationship with other leaders. But then the flip side of the 7th house is open enemies and warfare. So Hades on the sun is not in a good position during this time. And this cycle is the strongest during the August 5 through 30, last August 2023. So August 5 through 30, it started. And December 3 through the 23rd, 2023. June 13 through July 10, peaking on the 4th of July. And January 20 to February 15, peaking February 3. And then May 15 to May 30, 2025, peaking May 20, 2025, it ends. So all I can say with this particular transit is it could actually instigate several unique individual crises with relationships with other leaders and countries in the world. But in general, I looked back in my history and I actually had this astrology cycle. Not everybody's ever going to have it. Obviously, it's because it's so rare. It moves so slowly in the sky. And it was probably, except for maybe another Pluto cycle I went through when I was very young, the hardest cycle I've ever been through. And I did not know, I wasn't paying attention of Hades back then sitting on my sun for 3.5 years. And literally so many individual unrelated issues happened during that time that were so challenging. I don't even know how I got through it. I don't know. It was just unbelievable, and just bad things kept happening. So I can't imagine our country going through this collectively as a people during these 2 to 3 years. It seems incredible. So what really bothered me is that it started in August of 2023. I know there was another astrology cycle that I was talking about on my newsletter at that time also, but this one really kicked in hard. And we had our Maui fires during that period, and strange occurrences with people videotaping and creating images, producing images of odd things that were starting the fires. It just is a very unsettling, feeling very vulnerable, dealing with basically, think of what Hades does. Hades is like a portal of dark energy that can come through. So now I'm reminded of a call that Sanat Kumar asked us to make back in the mid 90s, that he asked us, it was the strangest thing out of nowhere, beloved, make the calls for the collapsing and sealing off and closure, or the sealing off and barring of the black hole in outer space where all evil comes forth from. I thought that was the most interesting statement, and I never forgot it. And when I started studying Hades and watching its effect on people in their birth charts and in the transits, I thought that is like a black hole where all evil tries to come through and mess up your emotional stability, your positive momentum. So I believe that making the call for the collapsing and the removal and sealing off of Hades at 11 to 14 degrees Cancer on the United States sun at 13 degrees Cancer would be a really, really good thing. And so there, I think this is it right here. Sorry, I can't make, can I make this bigger? Yeah, so these are the exact dates that I found. This is the little symbol. It's a half circle with a cross starting August, and then peaking again December 3rd, and then July 4, 5. It's July 5, 3:55 a.m., but it remember, these things bleed out like several days on either side, or they may not even be an exact event on the peak dates, because it's just these planet and aspects that are very far away. They could go encompass for weeks. And then February 3, 2025, and the last one is May 15, 2025. So anyway, there's that one that I'm a bit concerned about. And again, food, water, cash, and gas in your car, and any other preparations. It would just be so smart through this crazy 2024 to have these things as your backup. It just is common sense. And I know so many of you all just, of course we have this, but I'm just saying it. And then the other thing that I noticed was a transit of Hades again. And I'm going to explain again why I'm so focused on Hades. It's making a square to the north and south nodes. And I do want to find that right here. Okay, great. So Hades squaring the north and south nodes. The nodes have a lot to do with our society and our economy. And just pull my screen share up here. Get this one off. So the energy of this is only happening right here, May 22nd. It peaks, and I don't know why it's not showing here, but I know it goes to June 30 and peaks around the first week of June. So oh, that is the wrong chart. That is the sun conjoined. Okay, I'm pretty sure it starts the last week of May and goes into the first week of June, particularly. And so this aspect is not good at all for any kind of controlled forces of power that would try to rein the public in economically, financially, with a system that would try to control our finances. And so what I've discovered is, like, I searched back as far as 1776, and this aspect between Hades and the nodes. Hades and the nodes has never also happened before in our lifetime, and in the America's lifetime. I sense this aspect is all about our money And this might be about finally certain powers that be forcing control over the finances and justifying it because of for many reasons. If there was a crisis beginning anytime starting in February, hacking of systems resulting in terrorism, or certain financial weaknesses and vulnerabilities that they say we're concerned about, the presenting a solution to the debt crisis and so on, they could try to establish the CBDC by the Federal Reserve, really pushed onto the US at that time. And also, if there is some escalation of conflict and opposition to this aspect of them controlling digitally our money, there may be, according to Whitney Webb, stable coins pushed instead of commercial by commercial big banks and not the Federal Reserve as a solution, and presenting the idea of still having your freedom over your money. But she's saying that this is still a synthetic CBDC and controllable and surveillable. So possibly promising to be backed by gold even. She's saying this is not a viable solution for the ultimate prosperity for our money, for privacy and autonomy. So all of these things that I'm presenting today has been on my heart for years anyway, that it came to me so strongly several years ago that we just, this, and you'll see with the next cycle I'm going to talk about, the theme, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm seeing it happening. I'm seeing it happening on the internet, people talking, groups, communities getting together. Basically, people need to replace all these systems with a new system and just push it forward intelligently, brilliantly. And so this is what I'm thinking is going to happen, is that the planet Jupiter and Uranus that are conjoined in Taurus, April 15th through the 25, exact on April 20, and it'll be positioned at 21 degrees Taurus, which is an economic, financial, money, business, economy, industry, productivity. It's the builders of the zodiac. It's going to happen really strongly. And it is in a good trine to not only the moon in Virgo, but the black moon in Virgo, which is industrious and employment and analytical auditing, amazing, brilliant minds that tear things apart, look at what's wrong, confront people that have been idiots and stupid but crafty, and maybe not stupid. Maybe they think they're smart, but it's like tears all of their philosophies down and points out all the flaws and presents the accuracy of what they've come up with, like an audit or like a confrontation in so many different areas, especially economically, health-wise, pharmaceuticals, medical. And what I think this is a cycle is it instigates and triggers in a way a particular group on this planet of objective truth-seeking people. These people have strong streak towards freedom and are highly intelligent, because Jupiter, Uranus, I know what that conjunction does. I've watched it in several people who are born with it, and they have a different makeup than the rest of us. They're just different, and they can be in any professional position, but they differ from others as they seem unaffected by threats, manipulation, coercion. There are millions out there with these traits, and many do even possess Jupiter conjoined Uranus in their birth charts. Even if they don't, this Jupiter conjoined Uranus, I believe, is going to activate and create some downloading of like a green light to move forward and start implementing plans and strategies and technologies. And the main theme for this astrology cycle would be seen as a strong movement coming up from these innovative individuals, along with the people's support to hold corrupt leaders accountable and not let down and not back up, because it's going to be in Taurus, which is a very fixed, purposeful, stubborn, unyielding, unbending energy coming from these people. So I am sure this is going to happen. And it's going to grow and grow and grow. Even if there's opposition and there's pushback, it doesn't matter, because now this has been inserted into the minds of the people all over the world, and they can't unsee it. It'll now be a new theme. And so this entire first half of the year would be a large segment of the population waking up. This Jupiter conjoined Uranus, triggered in April, would be the go switch for these genius types all over the world. Very courageous, very bright, politically, economically, in all ways to move into action. Launching the concepts and possibly even attempting to insert innovative financial means of exchange, medical systems, alternative systems, integrity tracking with government systems. It will definitely be a time when many independent-minded people are willing to put in the work to research the hard and multi-layered historical evidence of who is leading and in charge of this or that system, and why did you do this, and why is this happening, and asking the right questions. Even though this transit hits only once for a few weeks, it's enough to cause certain activities and information to erupt into the world scene and start a new trend of truth and innovative solutions. So just as it's going to happen globally, we all will personally feel this instigation, like this trigger of all of a sudden thinking differently. Like, why am I doing this way? Why have I never taken control of that, or built this, or launched that, or taking care of this? Now, Taurus is not just our money, it's also biology. I've noticed with Taurus, it can rule medical, it can rule doctors, it can rule our physical bodies, our muscles, our exercise, and our healthcare. But it can be our physical, material, substantial world that we need to function in. So there should be some kind of innovative insight and brilliance that should come upon all of us also. So this I'm excited about. I don't see it as a negative, disruptive, unexpected Uranian event happening. I think that it is necessary, and it's gonna be a really much needed. Also, May 27 to June 10. I know this is a lot, but I'm just going to keep going. At least it's recorded. May 27 to June 10, there's a good transit that could buffer the weird one that I was describing, that's economic, like control and confining and trying to lock down and limit and constrict our money, bank accounts, people's movements, credit systems, and things like that in the late May going into June. This is called Jupiter in Gemini, trine Pluto in Aquarius. So that one is a nice buffer that just creates a sort of divine protection and moral dominance over any financial activities. Again, we need to create innovative systems to replace the old guard and the old system and preserve that which is working, and smoothly transitioned into more common sense, transparent systems. Thinking of this occurring in every area of our lives where we depend on these things in order to function happily. Now, this leads to the big one. Everybody knows about it, which is pretty incredible. Like even just everyday average Joe on the internet or in the grocery store, Pluto's in Aquarius now. And I'm just like, oh, that's very good. Good. You're on it. So whenever Pluto enters a new zodiac sign, it will do two things. It holds the promise of escalating and expanding and funneling power to that zodiac sign for however long it lasts. This one's going to last to 2041. I believe it's 2040, 2041. But it can also, I've noticed, degenerate that zodiac sign. So if Pluto is going into Aquarius, we want to preserve Aquarian qualities and really fight for those qualities to be protected and expanded and upheld. We're looking at themes of humanitarian truth, advancement, transparency, and society honesty, and drives towards freedom, individual rights, yet embracing with love, because it is a 1 o'clock line. If you're following the cosmic clock, it's a 1 o'clock line, God, love, energy. Aquarius is governed by Saint Germain, of course. So it's going to be all things motivated through love, like the heart chakra is involved in the alchemy of bringing out an Aquarian age consciousness. and looking at humanity as one, working together unified to improve our world in so many ways. Technology, medical, economic freedom, innovation, advanced economic, financial means of exchange, space, truth, transparency, Aquarian activities, which increase the freedom to study and advance ourselves in positive, productive ways, music, the arts, science, community involvements, using technology to positively eliminate mundane everyday challenges, whether personal limitations, dominant domestic menial chores, to laborious processes in all professional activities, and economic freedom, ensuring privacy and full control by the individuals with expedient transactions and respect for each karmic group on earth, their rights to preserve their culture and the right to protect their country, their ways, their borders, their boundaries with respect to rituals, religious observations, and education. The perversion of Aquarius are to cause breakdowns of individuality and autonomy and privacy and move societies into homogenized oneness. This is a perversion of Aquarius, and the perversion of Aquarius, the positive are humanity evolving, where we become more connected through love and appreciative of each other. We become closer and more supportive for each other, yet retaining our autonomy and individual freedoms and way of life and our individual identity. The theme is to assist transforming existing conditions. This is very Aquarian. Any Aquarian will know this. They're driven to transform existing conditions as they see it into a higher and better way of functioning and living. They just automatically can't help themselves. They want to like help people. They want to like, oh, did you ever think of doing it this way? And they're really great ideas. And so to be forced into conformity or punished for by social credits or worse is anti-age of Aquarius, creating more of an autonomy and techno mind controlled unified oneness of the world, the global situation. So that would be the ultimate worst case scenario, which I feel using technology, whether they're doing anything medical and intervention, putting things in bodies that actually have the capacity to trigger mind conformity through these technologies. It doesn't matter, even like just living in the today, we could be susceptible to that. It reminds me of in the morning, I get up and I want to seal myself, my mind, my chakras, my brain, and my thoughts and feelings from being manipulated, because I don't know, sometimes we're fine, but every once in a while you just get this weird feeling like something's off, something doesn't feel right. Especially last September through November was very, very disturbing. The energy was severely uneasy. So we never know what's going on. And we're in the age of Aquarius, where who knows what kind of stuff they have. This is the age of Aquarius. Other concerns are key people in positions of power and leadership in awe of artificial intelligence and projecting godlike infallibleness onto it. Being part of this Aquarian age is truly living an advanced, futuristic, amazing life with so many incredible innovations to solve human suffering and limitations. But if we allow the heart to be replaced or mechanically replicated, our world will go dark, as this is what happened before here and on other planets. So Pluto in Aquarius we have to really distinguish. Pluto in Aquarius isn't symbolic of the Aquarian age. It simply just happens to be happening at the same time. So Pluto isn't even a planet. We've been told it's a space station and has computers. I don't understand why, if it's in a good aspect, though, to our charts, it's so profoundly, amazingly successful. But when it's in a hard aspect, look out, it's creating a death and ending relentlessly of certain conditions in our world. So I don't really understand that object out there, but it is very powerful. It shouldn't have been demoted to a planetoid. It's still, to me, part of the astrology. So Pluto and Aquarius, we have to really, really be vigilant protecting Aquarian freedom and God love on the planet and the alchemy of using the heart chakra rather than depending on AI and just surrendering one's being to an autonomous control, which none of us here would do that, but that is what the world is facing. Calls perpetually for the recognizing and respecting and nurturing of this incredible divine spark in our heart, which is very alchemically Aquarius, that we have within ourselves, would be a very good thing to do at this time. And I know it would work. Okay, so very quickly, since Uranus rules Aquarius and Mercury is exalted in the sign Aquarius in Uranus, Mercury is exalted in the sign of Aquarius, and it is the planet of the messenger. Mercury is. This can also involve an escalation, Pluto in Aquarius, of clairvoyance and other abnormal phenomenon and discussions and observations and ability to finally go deeper and understand phenomenon happening in interdimensional entities and beings and aliens and all that kind of stuff. So that is going to just keep exploding on the internet as discussion, even to the point where how much are certain leaders being manipulated and told what to do. And it's not just coming from these people, but it's coming from another energy in another dimension. And it's been going on like this for a long, long time. So these are going to be weird discussions that are going to be like normal conversations over coffee starting to happen everywhere. And just know that there's always, we're so grateful to be in the teachings because we have the highest alternative for all this stuff, which is the real Aquarian age. So anything involving robotics, massive technology acceleration, cryptocurrency expansion, which isn't bad. It just again has to be remain free. Society control, digital control, space and planetary asteroid and space object control, alien issues, artificial chimera, human biological splicing, gene mutation, and other issues such as owning the moon and other planets and asteroids out in space, expanding elite communities who have the edge on all these things, fluctuate between even economic space commerce is going to become more normal and natural, and futuristic, all kinds of bizarre futuristic technologies and things occurring on the planet. This could also be Pluto in Aquarius. Also, these elites keeping these things to themselves and creating a separation from the common people. That would also be a perversion of Pluto in Aquarius. So all these things can be harnessed for the good, but Pluto inevitably tries, it just by nature tries to degenerate it and spiral it down. So we have to fight against that downward spiral of the misuse of all this technology. And I don't know if any of you ever watched that Matt Damon movie, Elysium, where all the people were left on Earth, and then the elite had their space station up in space where they had all the med beds and all the technology. That would be the ultimate perversion of Pluto in Aquarius. So we just can't allow this to happen, and our calls will make the difference. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here. There's some happy, positive transits on now through February 30, peaking exactly February 18th through the 28th. We're in one right now called Jupiter sextile Saturn. It's excellent for meetings, communication, friendly collaboration, goodwill towards people, and bonding between people, having wonderful get-togethers. And it could be casual, it could be professional, but there's a great deal of support and goodwill that is shown in this cycle right now. And it can also cut through and get some important things done and just established that are really positive. May 18 to May 28, Jupiter sextile Neptune. That is just going to be more of a spiritual, intuitive, emotional, wonderful energy of positiveness and hope. In general, it's an upliftment. So it's really good to, like, if you want to launch anything new during that period, I would do it. May 28th to June 6th, we talked about that. That was the protection of money. July 8 to July 18, peaking July 10, 11, 12, Jupiter is sextiling the North Node. That actually can be business opportunities, financial growth potential for everyone, ideas coming to do certain things with our businesses or our money, our income, or savings or securities, or even just self-improvement around our house. It can be a good time for anything related to improvement with, I don't think it has so much to do with our health and body. I think it has more to do with just transforming some area of our life and finally cutting through and making it happen. Also, I wanted to mention that in both the US charts, 1776 and 1789, they both have throughout 2024, 25, and 2026, the planet Pluto in Aquarius in a trine. Now, here's a good one from Pluto, the midheaven, which is the seat of power of the charts. It's the place of what does this country really want to achieve? And so Pluto trine the midheaven is an umbrella of positive drive and determination to advance, secure and advance and reach really high goals of accomplishment of our country in general, through the will of the people. And it just floods good fortune and motivation to move in a particular cosmic direction, regardless of all this other crazy stuff that's going on. I'm almost finished. I know that we're getting up to the time here. I wanted to go through really quickly the eclipse on April 8, 2024. It's at 19 degrees Aries, and I see this eclipse action as an opportunity, a power release from the sun to restore control. Since it's in Aries, it's about God control, back into the hands of the people where there was little control over circumstances in the past. And we can begin to process a cycle of rising out of the traumas done from circumstances in our individual lives and in the whole world. So the whole world can feel this rallying, fiery motivation to launch, instigate, and take action to regain control according to their intuition, their integrity, their combined values and insights into a deep way to just regain control back into their country, their lives, their families, their personal integrity. It's a very, very strong eclipse. And I know that it is what I see, I know there were other eclipses before, after 2017, up to 2023, but I'm seeing the 2017 eclipse that we had, the total eclipse in Leo, and the eclipse that was in 2023 last year, which I do want to pull that one up and show you guys what it was on the chart, and then 2024, and then one more 2025. To me, they are all in a series. And so this solar eclipse on April 8 seems to be the torch that lights the fire even more profoundly of the people's desire to regain control in some way and do what is necessary to make it happen. It's the launching of this momentum at a higher level than experienced before. This is because of the power of Aries, and the wound and trauma reference is because of Chiron, which is a little planetoid where it shows a wound has taken place, is sandwiched in between the sun and the new moon, side by side. And so this aspect is saying that it's addressing where there's been a handicap and a diminishing of control. Now the new moon is promising the launching of a new control. You can see the Hades on the left side. So let me pull up this screen. Solar eclipse. Here we go. Okay. So here's the solar eclipse, and oops, this one doesn't have Chiron in it. Should be sandwiched right here, but this is the power of this solar eclipse at this time. And I also noticed that, okay, so the theme that I was concentrating on, that I wrote in an article several months ago, was that the 2023-2024 eclipses, Pluto, it's slight in this one. It's over here on the right side of this eclipse, right here in blue. They are all squaring the eclipse, the sun and the moon, but this one especially is squaring the Mercury. And I'll talk about that later. But this eclipse, and then I'll bring up the 2023 eclipse. You can see it even tighter in this one. Here's the solar eclipse from last year in Aries. So they've both been in Aries, which is about control, our control, and who has been in control. And that would even be in your personal lives. So reclaiming God control over your emotions, your self, your attitude, how you conduct yourself, how you see hope in your future. What this is doing is it's instigating and triggering the desire for these things. But think of it as a whole population of the world and humanity. And then look at over here, this Pluto in Aquarius, but it's 0. So just before that, it was 29 degrees Capricorn, making a square to the eclipse at 29 degrees Aries. That means something really powerfully to me. That was last April 2023. What I feel it was the symbol of the end, the death and ending of those that had abused control, and that the cycle had begun for the degeneration and dismantling and diffusing of that grip of the perversion of Aries. So now we're in another one in the same sign, Aries, and with Pluto slightly making the square. And then we have another one in 2025. And I don't know if I have it here. 2025 is another powerful eclipse in Aries again. I may not have that here. So this cycle is really, really helping us an incredible amount of energy put onto the planet and into our personal lives for this. Hades is also on the left side of this 2024 chart, square to the nodes, which will be culminating in the end of May going into June 2024, representing that dark energy or force that is attempting to counter this momentum with some form of economic and or crisis, causing a restriction and confinement of the people in some way. But then, as we discussed, we have the wonderful Jupiter coming in that could seal and protect and uplift and create alternatives to that confinement or that control. So, so let me just skip through all of this. Okay. The partial eclipse of 2025, March 29, next year in Aries again, reveals even more truth as to what has been controlling the world, because now and next March 29, 2025, plan on taking one step at a time. So starting now, especially escalating in April, May 2024, all the way to next eclipse 2025, taking one step at a time to see yourself in a year's time having been physically and mentally in the best place possible you could be in. Visualizing this and believing this and working towards anything, like even taking chunks at a time, would be so fantastic. You'll look back and realize how much you have accomplished and how glad you will be that you progress along with the rest of this large community of transforming people. So everybody's going to transform and upgrade in some capacity, in some way. Even even like I look sometimes at my life and I think, well, I haven't done much physically, but I am absolutely can sense. I don't know if you all feel this way. I sense, I know more, I feel more, I'm aware of more, and I'm also witnessing so many people I talk to. Just are they getting smarter? Or like there just seems to be a brightness and a consciousness that's more aware, awake, and just it's amazing. So I think that this is not just the astrology, but it could be several other factors cosmically that are doing this, but I'm witnessing this because of these times and also the Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces cycle we've been in. Neptune's been in Pisces, Saturn's been in Pisces, and it's going to continue for another year and a half. There will be some hard times with still busting through things like deception and very confusing non-accountable individuals and leaderships and fears and concern with medical viruses, health issues, and what is going on in the future. But I really think that these Aries eclipses will really bring a sharpness and a confrontational, I want black and white, simple, progress and truth to come out. Using our discernment will never be more crucial as now. Also uncovering many layers and layers of Piscean intrigue among those behind so many problems and crises will also increase as important facts emerge. That is because Saturn in Pisces, which has been going on since March 2023 through 2025, it demands accountability in any issue that is Piscean. So Pisces is ruled by Neptune, so it's dealing with illnesses, viruses, origins of viruses, pharmaceuticals, medical. It has to do with nebulous, hidden, ambiguous, non-answer. So where's our trillions of dollars going? This and that. What it does is it forces these things to the surface so that people can become accountable and confront and hold other people accountable with this mystery. Pisces has a lot to do with mysteries. This would also be in our own life. Like I can walk through my life and go like, why haven't I cleaned up this mess here? Why haven't I gone through my attic or my basement? Or why haven't I dealt with this issue before? Why have I never looked at this problem I have with myself before? Saturn in Pisces forces these things that have just sort of been like in the corner saying, don't touch me. Now we want to like look at them and tear the veil off and say, this isn't okay. This needs to get fixed, upgraded, or cleaned up. So this is what I think also is going on in the background that's fueling all of this confrontational, holding things accountable. All these things are key for launching us into this age of truth. So I see these three eclipses, 2023, 24, 25, where possibly two parallel worlds are in a race to dominate the other. And we know who's gonna win. To me, it is the 2023, 4, and 5, which is the most obvious turning point, along with, of course, with the Pluto in Aquarius. The incredible final signal sent to those energies in physical and non-physical that their time is over. And I see it as also as our most crucial time to get our stuff together, to wherever we are still vulnerable, to like prepare. And let's clean it up and get prepared so that we can make it through the challenging yet amazing next few years. It is a strong theme of intense awakening, initiation change, challenging abuse of control and courage, which actually stemmed from the 2017 August eclipse in Leo, with a positive innovation from the August 2017 up to March 29, 2025, and throughout 2025. So this to me, I see as one long stream of events that has just been building one upon the other. It started with courage of the heart. It started with a new impetus to feel a rush or an infusion of confidence from the August 2017 eclipse, and then launched right into these 23, 24, 25 eclipses. The highest state of mind I can imagine would be to increase our own light and discernment, our level of service in any constructive way, and see the Aquarian age community as not just our global and local friends and neighbors. But as the veil is thinning in this reality, the real Aquarian energy is embracing the real divine masters in Christ as our brothers and sisters. Aquarius is friendship. And there is a clairvoyant, higher intuitive consciousness that is involved in Aquarius because it is ruled by Uranus, which can invoke supernatural or higher level frequencies and vibrations. And embrace that goodwill and the desire to advance all situations into a higher and better future and world. This is the true alchemy within ourselves and without all around us. So thank you for going through this with me. And I hope this wasn't too much for all of you.
Thank you, Christine. I don't think it was too much for all of us. I think it's exciting and that's going to be challenging. And so that's the way we live our lives these days, right? Knowing that we will be victorious.
That's right.
Questions or comments for Christine? Lawrence.
Yes, I know there are several planets that are not visible. So how do you chart something you cannot see and be sure of its accuracy,
You mean like Hades?
like Hades?
Through trial and error, just watching it. Like that's why I was mentioning I don't like to just spew out some interpretation unless I've had a personal experience with it with myself and other clients. And that's why in the beginning I was saying I went back to my own Hades on my son. And even though I know other transits were going on at that time, nothing was as challenging on a long 3 years straight cycle as this Hades. And literally from the time it started to the time it stopped, I can attest to this, that it was really difficult. And so to me, Hades conjoining somebody's sun sign, like our US chart, a conjunction is like it's trying to snuff out or take control over the United States sun's vitality and presence. Just like what I experienced at that time. I've only observed a couple other people that have had this, and there have been similar issues that otherwise wouldn't be explained with other planetary aspects. So that's all
Oh.
I can say.
So you're charting it by its effects.
Pardon me?
You you chart its position by noticing its effects.
No, it's actually in the software that the PDF that I pulled up, there's an actual software that will chart where Hades is.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
2 questions. Well, 3. One, what is the current degree and sign of Hades right now? Carol Brenner asks.
I believe we will find that here. Just a second. Oh, I should have that here. Sorry about this, guys. I think it is between 12 and 13 degrees. 12 and 13 degrees Cancer, because it moves so slow. It's been in that sign since last August.
All right, we've got a lot of people saying thank you so much. You gave a lot of clarity and hope. Bless you. Thank you so much, Christine. Not too much at all. So many great visions given you gave us for this challenging time. Brava. And then there's another question. How likely do you see the possibility of Biden stepping down before the election through the 25th Amendment or any other mechanism, even in the first 6 months of this year?
Okay, so that might be one of the surprises that could occur on the April 15th through the 30th date, where there could be a sudden upset or crisis that occurs. But see, the trick with Biden, the reason I didn't pull up his chart today is because we don't even know if that's really him.
Okay.
All right.
I want to thank you very much on that note and invite everybody to join us next February the 18th on the third Sunday. We're going to have a surprise topic then. I'm not sure what it'll be, but this has been fabulous. Christine, thank you so much. You are always very enlightening, uplifting, and informative.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
love you.